this is where we left in the previous video by installing or creating React application. So how are we going to make a request from React application to our backend application? Make sure that your server is running. Alright, so let's continue. Before we get into that, let me show you how to handle forms in React using Formik. So I'm going to create a folder called component inside the SRC. And I'm going to have one for post. And then inside, I'm going to create a component called createPost.jsx. And I have installed an extension called React Redux, which is this. And this is the extension by this author. Alright, so with this one, I'm going to make use of RAFCE to scaffold. I think I need to enable it. I have to install it rather. Alright, so it is done. And back to my component, if I use RAFCE, you're going to see the scaffolding for my component. So here, let me save it and let me go ahead and mount inside the app.js file. Let me remove the CSS from here and let me remove everything from here. And let me have a div and then create post component, and let me see it in the browser, and we have it as that. Let me remove the default styling. So let's get back to the main.jsx and remove the CSS from here. We are going to use Tailwind CSS as we move on. So let me bring it back and then let me remove all the CSS from the index.css and even app. Let me remove everything from here. For the meantime, let's focus on the form handling and let's see. And this is what we have: create post. So how are we going to handle forms using Formik? So first step is that let's require the Formik package. So here we are going to use what is called use Formik from Formik. And let me bring this one up here like that. And then next step is that we need what is called Yup package. And that Yup package is being needed to implement validations or schema. So here, this is how we require it: as import asterisk as Yup, meaning that we want to grab everything from this package from Yup. Alright, so we are done with the import. So let's have the form over here as that. And for this, we will need, let me check well, we will need let's get back to Postman, which is this. We will need the title and then the description only for the meantime. So we're going to have two input fields. Let me remove this action. And then inside here, you're going to have one input, and the type here is going to be text, and the name over here is going to be title. Alright, and remove this, duplicate text, and then the name here is description. Alright, so now we are done with this one, and let's have the button. So here I will say create or add, and then provide a type called submit. Alright, so this is what we have, and let's provide some placeholders. And we will say enter title, and then this one as placeholder, and enter description. Alright, so how are we going to handle the form? Alright, we are going to use Formik one more time. So inside here, we are going to create instance of Formik by using Formik is equal to use Formik. as a function call and an object. We're going to provide the initial values as an object, and for this we're going to specify the title, and by default it is empty, and then the description also by default it is empty. And the next one is the validation. So come here and provide validation schema, and this we're going to use Yup package as Yup.object. As a function, pass in one argument, and that is the object. And here we're going to specify the fields. Title here is required, so here use Yup.string and then .required, and here we're going to specify that title is required. And the next one is going to be the description, and then this is also a string, and we will say that description is required. Alright, so now we are done with that. If you are using the traditional way for handling forms, unless you provide on change handler, submit handler, and even error handling. But for this one, it's going to take away all of these ones for us. And lastly, we're going to provide what is called onSubmit. So after the validation, let me collapse it. I'm going to provide the submit handler. Let me use this one as validation, and then here as initial values or initial data. And it goes like onSubmit. All these ones are being provided to us by Formik. So here as a function call and as that, and inside we have all the values the user is entering in the form. So let's go ahead and log the values. Next step is that let's bind the individual input fields. So over here we are going to use this syntax. So let me have some spacing for this input, likewise this. So here we're going to use object, and we're going to spread the Formik as Formik.getFieldProps as that, and as a function call, then provide the field name, and that's the value for the name here, which is title, and this one must be the same as the one that we specified over here, likewise inside the schema. So I'm going to provide as title over here, and that is it. As you can see, we are not providing values and unchanged. This one will take care of the unchanged and then the value for us. So next one is going to be the description. So here spread the Formik.getFieldProps and then provide the description. Alright, so now let's go ahead and try out. Let me open the console and refresh it, and then let me increase the zoom level, likewise this, and let's see what's gonna happen. Let me say Node.js and then some description. I think I have some warning over here, but let's try. Well, I forgot to add the onSubmit to the form as onSubmit, and here we're going to use Formik. On that we have the method called submit form. Alright, so now let me provide Node.js and then some description, and where it's supposed to be handle submit. Sorry guys, bad on my side. So let me provide Node.js and then some description and create. As you can see, we have the values from the form. Let's check this warning, a changing on an uncontrolled input to be controlled. So it means that we are not using the right properties here. So let's check. We have the supposed to be description. Yeah, this one. Perfect. So now let me refresh it and try again. Node.js and some description. And there we go. So now we know that the form is working fine. But let me show you the validation. But in case I refuse to provide these fields, and if I hit create, as you can see, nothing is logging, meaning that I cannot submit without providing the values because of the validation schema. So if I comment out this and I try to hit create, as you can see, I can submit empty data. So this package helps us for the client-side validation. So how are we going to display the error messages? And it goes like this. So here I will say display the error message, and it goes like this. Formik.touched, meaning that in case we touch the input field and we move away, we want to trigger some error message, and that is title over here, and formik.errors.title. Then we are going to display some error message. So here I'm going to use just a span, and I'm going to inject the error message as formik, supposed to be object like that, formik.errors.title. So now let's see. If I refresh it and click on create, as you can see, title is required. Alright, so let me provide some inline styling. Don't worry, you're gonna use Tailwind CSS to style this one. So I will say color of red. Alright, so now let's see, and we have title is required. So let me copy this, and then the same thing for the description. So change the title to description. Alright, so now let me refresh it. If I click inside and move away, title is required. Likewise the description. But if I type something, it is gone. Likewise this, and now I can submit.